All right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 1990 Chevy Blazer. Up front is a 5.7 liter V8 and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Blazer for two reasons. First of all, last summer I drove a Bronco from the same era. However, it did have a diesel swap, but still sort of the same body style, so I'm excited to drive another old truck like this. But the second reason is because the Blazer is so loved by so many communities. I'm excited to share that with you guys today. But before we get on with the rest of the video, if you are looking to help out the channel, there are a couple links in the description below from our awesome sponsors. One of which is Cash for Cars if you're looking to sell your used car. One is from Fixed, a Bluetooth OBD2 sensor to help diagnose your vehicle, and another from Conplates. Conplates is a suction cup license plate mount for your vehicle in case you don't want to drill into your front bumper. Each purchase or quote goes towards helping the channel, and it's greatly appreciated, so let's get on with the video. So let's get back to the Chevy 350 under the hood. Well, it came with a Chevy 350 from the factory, made low 200 horsepower, 210-ish. But this one has a Ramjet 350 swapped into it, which actually gains fuel injection and jumps up about 140 horsepower. So it makes about 350 horsepower now, which is absolutely awesome and a really cool upgrade to an older truck like this, because the older Chevy 350s really starting to show their age. A lot of them were carbureted, and even though you can still find parts for them easily, a carb car is just, it's hard to live with. So the fuel injection really makes this truck more livable, at least in the modern age. Is it a fast sports car? Not quite. It's still not quick, and it's still shaped like a brick. So you're not really gonna fight aerodynamics all that much. But when you put your foot into it, it actually does make some noises and do some things. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. This is actually the stock transmission from Chevy. Last but not least, this truck did come 4-wheel drive. However, the rear diff has been swapped out, so the two diffs don't really get along anymore, so we keep this one in 2-wheel. Now let's talk about the interior, and this is where the Blazer really starts to show its age. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of different gauges surrounded by these wood accents. I have my speedometer on the left, my fuel, the biggest fuel gauge I maybe have ever seen, on the right. And then to the left of me, I have battery voltage, oil pressure, and coolant temperature, which are all the necessities that you need. The reason I say it shows its age is because this generation of Blazer, the K5, which is how this vehicle is known, was made from the late 70s up through the 90s. So even though this is a 1990, it still has some interior design quirks from the late 1970s. So you can look at that two ways. You could either say it's an outdated truck, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think that's more of the sort of mantra of this particular truck is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. On the door, I do have power windows, which is very nice, and power locks. Something really cool on the doors is the fact that I do get winged windows or smoker's windows, whatever you want to call them, so you can get a nice little breeze going without taking the full window down. Again, that's seen a lot on 50s, 60s, 70s cars and was kind of out of date or out of trend by the 1980s, but here we are in 1990 with the same windows. Moving into the center, if you will, I have a climate control vent, a single climate control vent, and the climate controls themselves, again, very, very basic, showing its age for sure. There's no 90s green digital lights, there's no screens, there's no anything. It's just switches that do things. I do have an aftermarket radio down below that, of course, because any radio from the 90s is most likely garbage at this point. And I do have this nice wood grain going across the dash. I really, really like that look. Again, dated. This color of wood looks very 70s to me. I don't know why. I feel like I should be wearing a brown suit, smoking a cigar, but I do like that look. And down below the dash, I do have a button for the power rear window. So the very rear window at the very back of the truck can actually be rolled down. However, the owner, Dominic, has since swapped out for a manual crank for a multitude of reasons, but that is something that you can do. You can actually get the manual crank parts from an older Blazer or older GMC Jimmy. They've shared platforms together for a very long time, the Jimmy and the Blazer. So if you want to do that swap, make things more simple, which we'll talk about later, is you could actually remove the whole bed cover of the truck. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Down in the center, I do have my 4-wheel drive settings. It is manual 4-wheel drive. It is not push button, which I love. I hate push button 4-wheel drive, so this actually has the man stick. Down in the center console, I do get a center console with square cup holders. This might be one of the oldest vehicles I've reviewed that actually has proper cup holders. However, we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and my bottle does not fit in the center console, so it unfortunately fails the big friggin' bottle test. Now up above me, I do have 2 sunroofs. Now these are not factory. These were dealer installed later on, but I wanted to point them out because I feel like a lot of younger viewers don't know that back in the 80s and 90s and probably even in the 70s, although I don't have hard evidence, people used to just install sunroofs into cars. Like if they didn't have a sunroof and they wanted one, they just cut holes because there wasn't wiring running through the roof like there are on modern cars. So I just want to show this more as a time capsule, not really as a part of the Blazer officially, but something unique and different and something you don't see anymore. Now the seats are very, very comfortable. GM knew what they were doing in the 1980s and 1990s when it comes to cloth comfortable seats. This is the same story in the Buick Grand National I drove, same story in the Oldsmobile Cutlass I recently drove. They knew how to do comfortable seats, and that is no different here in the Blazer. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. So this is a 2-door Blazer, which is cool. 2-door Blazers are awesome, but they're not awesome trying to get into the back seats. So, all right, wow, that's a crooked camera. So we're in the back seat of the 1990 Chevy Blazer. Couple things to note back here. First of all, when we actually put this seat up in its driving position, I have so much room back here. I mean, this is like a lounge almost, to the point where I have these little ashtrays over on the sides here, which is really, really cool. The seats themselves are very, very comfortable. Again, like I mentioned with the front seats, you know, GM really knew how to do back seats in the 90s and 80s as well. Again with the Grand National and again with the Cutlass Calais that I drove. Even though those were 2 doors as well, the back seats are super, super spacious. I mean, I would love going on a road trip back here. But my favorite thing about this back seat is that if you notice around me, this white, this is actually a bed cap. So all of this white up to here can actually be removed. This whole cap comes off, and then I'm out in the open air. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, basically, like a Bronco, like a Jeep, and vehicles of the sort. That's a really cool feature of the Blazer. A lot of people do utilize it. Here in the Midwest, you mainly just leave the cap on because it rains half the year and it snows the other half. So sunny days are hard to find anyway, but I love the fact that you can take this off if you want. And it says on the side Silverado. This was a Silverado cap because back in the 90s and late 80s, there wasn't a Silverado. The Silverado didn't come around until after this truck had been built. So the Silverado was just a name for the cap. It actually wasn't the name of their trucks yet. The trucks were the C series, the C10s and things like that. So enough talking about that, let's talk about the looks. Now we gotta talk about the looks. This is not a factory paint color for the Blazer. This is actually a Mercury Marauder color, and I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks period correct. I really, really enjoy the look of it. I love the square body look of the Blazer. I miss this era of cars. Is it aerodynamic? No, but I don't really care. I think it looks so plain and simple. And that's really my final thoughts here on the Blazer, is just how simple it is. This truck has been through 13 transmissions. It's had at least 1 engine swap. It's had parts thrown on it from so many different vehicles. And that's what I love. You don't find modern cars that will have that same capability in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And to be fair, the 13 transmissions was an issue getting the ramjet to communicate with the transmissions. It didn't blow up 13 transmissions. Just to get that out there, these don't throw transmissions. It was a communication error because of the upgrades. Please don't comment about it. But what I love is these trucks are kind of like Legos. They're very plug and play. If you want to throw a different axle in it from a different year, toss it in. That's fine. It'll work. If you want to throw a different engine in, a crate engine from Chevy, that's fine. Toss it in. It'll work. If you want to throw doors on it from a 1988, toss them on. It'll work. That's what I love about trucks like this, and that's what I worry about with modern trucks, is there's so many computers, so many sensors, so many this, that's, and the others, that you're not going to be able to have a parts 2022 Chevy Silverado. It's not going to work that way. And so that's why these trucks are tough. That's why the military use these. You don't see brand new military Chevy Blazers because they come with 3-cylinder turbos now, and even the military knows that those aren't going to be reliable. These were built like tanks, and it's just going to show that this truck is still running today. Granted, it's needed some parts along the way, but they've never been expensive, it's never been hard to work on, and it just keeps running and running and running. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Dominic for letting me take out his Blazer. This thing is absolutely awesome. I'm so glad I was able to drive a square body Blazer. I hope you guys enjoyed it. All of Dominic's information will be in the description below for his band and his YouTube channel and everything else about him. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.